So, hi everyone. Today we are discussing about some of the real life applications of Bitcoin. Well, this is not just Bitcoin but cryptocurrencies in general, part 1. So, before beginning, I'd just like to mention that, as always, this is not financial advice. This is only and only for educational purposes. If you want to invest in Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, do it at your own risk and discretion. This will definitely discuss Bitcoin as a prospect of investment, but this is not advice for it. So, before we begin, make sure you comment your doubts below about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, well, except for asking me for investment advice. Don't forget to like the video as it helps me with the algorithm, subscribe to the channel as it keeps me going, and press the bell icon to know when I come out with the next video. So as I already mentioned that this will discuss Bitcoin as an investment option. So as I mentioned, this is the most obvious use case, and the Bitcoin's volatility seems to be on a steep decline. As earlier you can see the charts were very volatile like this, but right now if it goes up, it goes up for some time. If it's falling, it falls down for some time. The volatility in the market is decreasing, and to be very honest, whether Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency has a space in your portfolio completely depends upon your personal circumstances, the amount of risk you want to take, the amount of capital you can lose, or the investment time horizon that you have. So basically Bitcoin is hard coded to be scarce, which helps it keep resistance to inflation. So let's take example of Germany. Right before the World War II, they were printing the currency in huge numbers, and you must have seen photos of them carrying carts of money to buy a loaf of bread. So that means the value of the German currency absolutely plummeted, and this kind of thing cannot happen with Bitcoin because Bitcoin is hard coded to only be generated at a steady rate and at a scarce rate. That too, it cannot be suddenly printed in a huge amount like money. Similarly, it cannot be diluted like stocks can. So suppose TCS is at $1 per stock right now. The company has the right to dilute its stock to $0.5 at any moment, right? This kind of thing cannot happen in Bitcoin, and hence its value cannot suddenly decrease to a large extent like any other stock. And there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, which is a huge factor for its value in the long term. And not only is the supply capped, the amount of new Bitcoin being generated is declining in a predictable way, right? And every 4 years, or 210,000 transactions, a process called halving takes place, in which the block reward, that is the reward miners get for mining Bitcoin, is halved. So suppose it was being rewarded at X amount. After 4 years, it will be rewarded X by 2 amount, and then next 4 years X by 4 to X by 8, so on and so forth. So this particular process also helps in limiting Bitcoin to 21 million, because you see this is a geometrically decreasing series, and hence at a later stage it will be very tough to generate new Bitcoin, right? This obviously helps in keeping the supply limited, and since more and more people are getting involved in investing in Bitcoin, the demand is increasing, right? So we can say the demand is increasing and supply is decreasing, and by the economic principle of scarcity, this keeps the value high. So obviously if there is something which has a higher demand and lesser supply, its value is going to drive above. And even though Bitcoin has trended steadily upwards in recent times, it has also had its down cycles. So it's not like Bitcoin has been on a steep increase. It has had some shakes and taken a tough road, but overall you'll see that across the last decade the price has definitely increased. And hence, to summarize this, Bitcoin is not as volatile as stocks or currencies. It is still volatile, and you should be careful when investing in any volatile market. So as an environmental alternative, so you see, when you print currency notes, you are using paper and cutting down trees for them, plus large machines are at work in printing currency notes, which is definitely a huge harm to the environment. In the factories, you have to perform various actions which also generate chemical waste, but all of this does not happen with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is absolutely digital, so it's not harming the trees as much, and even when you're mining gold from Earth's core, and hence is depleting the core of the Earth, which is very bad for the environment. So even though a significant amount of Bitcoin mining takes place on renewable energy resources such as wind, hydro, solar, etc. Bitcoin does have some bad effect on the environment since a lot of electricity is being used up. But when compared to the older processes to generate currency notes, it is still better. And Bitcoin's carbon footprint until 2015 was absolutely minimal. Now it has increased a little since a lot more miners have come into the play, but as compared to the currency notes, it's very marginal still. Better privacy? Well, of course, you must have heard about Bitcoin being anonymous and that payments are untraceable and all of that stuff. Well, that's not true at all. Bitcoin at best is pseudonymous, which means that you can change your name. For example, in your mail, let's say my name is Simant and I try to mail with some other name, which is possible. Let's say I want to mail with this name without any vowels. So what is going to change here is that my name is changed, but my identity is not. My email ID will have to be the same. Even if I use another different email ID, my IP address will be there. Some information linked to my email ID can be traced back to me. Similarly, in Bitcoin, you can change your display name or your display ID, but you cannot change your underlying signature, your public key, your private key. You cannot change those things. What are public keys and secret keys? I'd recommend you to check out my video where I've explained how Bitcoin actually works, so you'll get a better grasp of it. Like similarly, you see, when you transfer some money to somebody else, there is no information of yours that is being passed to the receiver from the sender that the receiver can use in the future to commit a fraud against the sender. Even though authorities can trace it back when they need to, but it cannot be used to commit fraud against you. We talk about Bitcoin being accepted as a form of payment. Some countries have already done it. So it's a big benefit for business, especially. You see, in some businesses such as electronics or maybe gold, their profit margins are quite low. So in electronics, the profit margins are less than 5%, out of which 2.5% they have to pay to the bank for secure payments and other services. And this drives their profit margin to less than or close to 2.5%, which is very low, right? This valuable money could be reinvested into their business or simply paid to the government as tax. And another challenge that merchants have with payments is accepting international payments. So you'll see something like Netflix, even though it is completely digital, does not exist in all countries, and this is because they have to set up a channel for payments in every country, decide on a common rate for every country. So let's say if it's charging $1 in USA, it cannot charge $1 in India because it's 70 rupees and inflation and affordability, a lot of things matter. So let's say in USA it is 0.1 BTC, in India they can keep 0.08 BTC quite easily, right? While for accepting rupees or accepting dollars, they'll have to set up different channels for accepting dollars and different channels for accepting rupees. And this is a huge challenge that not just Netflix but other businesses also face, which is why you'll see a lot of products existing in US but not in India, or vice versa. Another huge problem is modern banking systems that a lot of countries do not have access to them. All of these problems are solved by Bitcoin because it eliminates the taxation by the middleman, which was the bank, and hence the 5% profit margin that the seller was gaining remains with him, which he can reinvest into the business or pay out to the government as tax, right? Which is very helpful for both the businessman and the economy in general. They can transact freely without paying the fee, and this helps the consumer as well because then they'll be able to provide better discount. So if you're earning 5% on something, you might be okay with earning 4%, but if you're earning only 2.5% on something, you won't be okay earning 1.5% on it, right? And even accepting payments abroad will be easier. So let's say if you want to buy something for your mother who is residing in a different country, it will be easier for you to transact. You don't have to pay any extra conversion fee or anything. You just pay the amount that is specified in Bitcoin and you're done. And since Bitcoin is safer in the sense that committing a fraud while using cryptocurrencies is tougher when compared to credit cards, it's beneficial for both the user and the businessman to use Bitcoin as a form of payment instead of credit card. So I hope that you liked this first part. Comment your doubts below or add anything to this presentation. Don't forget to like the video as it helps me with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel to know when the next video comes out, and press the bell icon to get notified about it. So thank you everyone for joining. Stay safe. Thank you.